So Lizzy Mathis, welcome to Pretty Smart.
Thank you for having me.
For coming in.
Of course.
Okay, Lizzy Mathis. That
Yes.
was your maiden name, not your married name.
Yes.
Today we're going to talk about everything, about getting married, about having babies, what your
Yes.
career looks like.
Sure.
So why did you not change your name?
Wow, you're coming in with the hard stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Danielle? You know, honestly, Issa and I, my husband, we've been together forever. We dated for like 4 or 5 years, and we were young when we got married. And to be honest with you, we were just both in the throes of our career. Like we were in like the young part of our career. Like I was modeling, he was modeling, we were traveling so much. Everything just felt so busy. So even to like schedule out a day to get married felt like a lot. So we looked into like the whole changing of name and all this stuff like that. And it felt so daunting. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do so much paperwork just to get your last name. I was like, you know what? Right now, it just makes sense for me to keep my name because I was a working model, I was an actress, I was like all doing all these things. And I was like, this is my stage name anyway, so I'm just gonna keep my name. And he was like, all right, cool. And I was like, when we have kids, I'll do your name. 3 kids later, it just haven't happened. It irritates him so badly. But for me, I think that it's just, I'm used to it. I'm used to my name. And I'm used to like having that identity. And not that I think it would change anything, because I do believe very strongly in the sanctity of marriage. And I love the idea of like becoming a union. I want the last names of my children. That's the thing that I kind of more so than his last name. I want the last names of my children. And I think about it in terms of when we're all passed and we're all gone, how will people associate me with them? And so that is like a drive for me to want to do it. But right now it's just like, I'm in it. It just feels so daunting right now.
Because I know that your mom was such a huge part of your life.
Yeah, very.
Tell me about the pieces of you that you feel like are the most her.
Ooh, I mean, you know, they always say that you kind of become your mom as you get older.
Do you feel
it? And I used to always like, so yes and no. I used to always look at her and be like, no, that's not gonna happen. Like, girl, bye. Like, how? Like, no, I don't see any of that, like how that's gonna be. But there are things, like my mom was very much, she loved home. She loved entertaining her friends and like having people over. She loved cooking. Cooking was her love language. Like that was the way that she expressed how much she cared about you, or like a gesture. Like I remember, oh my God, this is like so long ago, but I remember I was friends very early on, like in my teenage years with Tyra Banks, and I still am. I love her to death. And she was so kind to me when I was trying to get into the modeling game and like take it really seriously. And I was trying to figure out, you know, if I stay at Northwestern or if I go do modeling in New York, and like, what do? I have opportunities. And she took me into New York for a week. Tyra like walked me around New York. She was just so sweet. And my mom thought it was such a nice gesture. My mom, this Midwest lady from Michigan, thought it was such a beautiful gesture that this woman had taken time to like show me that much love. She wanted to bake her a pound cake. My mom baked her a pound cake and shipped it.
So sweet.
Shipped it to Tyra in LA. And I just remember thinking like, don't they have cake services out there though? And she just didn't care. For her, it was that way of showing love and appreciation to someone who had showed her baby so much love and appreciation. And
do you find yourself doing those things?
And I find myself doing that. I find myself wanting to cook and love through food and nurture like she does. And she used to do this thing with her mouth whenever she cooked. She used to be like, it's like, why are you doing that with your mouth? And now I find myself like, as I'm chopping, I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing it.
The cooking face.
It's the cooking face. And so
I don't want to I want to get back to your mom, but how did you meet Tyra Banks?
I know. Well, that was crazy. So essentially we were dating brothers.
Okay.
Essentially. So in high school, I dated a guy who was his brother Tyra was dating. And so we had met at like a family dinner or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, I adore you. And you're like so like my idol and like all these things. And I wanted to be a model so badly. And she was just like, we actually became really good friends and we've stayed friends.
But she wasn't just any model. She was always super smart,
Oh my
super
God.
entrepreneurial, and you're the same. So it's interesting that
Yeah.
your brothers had the same taste in women, kind of.
But she became like a mentor for me. She really did. She became like a mentor, big sister for me. And she was just so like integral in like showing me that there was so much more that you could be besides just one avenue. I remember being there when she started America's Next Top Model. And though like how scrappy she was, and she was just like, she wouldn't take no for an answer, and she was just like, so, you know, like, this is what I see, this is my vision, and she was just full steam ahead. And so I don't know, some of that stuff just rubs off on you as you like witness, especially women who look like you know, meaning like a woman of color who really like took her career into her own hands and didn't wait for the phone to ring. And that inspired me.
There's something, I don't quite know how to put it into words, but when you're around greatness, you just pick up on things. It's such a gift.
It's such a gift.
You just see how they move.
It's such a gift. It's such a gift that as young women, we notice that, right? But it's such a gift that as women now, you want to give back.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like you want to share that and you hope that that's what people are picking up from you.
Yeah.
You know, just like that inspiration, that drive, that ambition, that idea that, listen, there are no limits. So, yeah.
It's the idea that like nobody does anything great alone, I don't think. And the idea that so many people have poured into you.
That's right.
And you want to pour back in.
That's true. Yeah.
Not everybody does that.
Well, not everybody does that, but now raising daughters, you see how important it is.
What do you mean?
I think that, you know, you see how impressionable, especially young girls are, whether it be their friendships, whether it be just the little things people say to them. They pick up on things that you just don't even realize. And that we as little girls used to too. That's the thing. And it shaped us. It shaped who we are. It shaped what we do. It shaped how we think about ourselves and our body and how we see the world and how we see what our limitations are, right? And so I think when my daughters, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is also trying to surround my daughters not only with like, you know, me and of course like being like, you know, super present in their life, but my girlfriends.
Huge.
Like my girlfriends who are just like, who love them just as much and who like want to like enrich their lives and want to give them things, like give them advice, and who are supportive and excited about that like basketball game, and who are excited about that A that they got on that math test just as much as I am. That matters.
Did you have that?
I did.
You did?
I did.
And you had your grandmother too, I know.
I had my grandmother too.
Yeah.
But I never used to understand like why my mom had like these girlfriends around who I called aunties who were not related to us.
Yeah.
I was like, why? Like, I don't, like, I mean, I knew it just was natural. You know, I never really questioned it, but it just was natural. I just didn't understand why we called them aunties. I was like, why is she my auntie too? But she's not your sister though, but she's my auntie. Like, it was just so confusing. But now I understand, just in our culture especially too, it takes a village. Like those are the people that you lean on to help raise your children and just create a safe space.
I've never really thought about this, but my mom's friends, I have a lot of pieces of them in me.
Yes.
It is a really big thing.
Yes, it's a big thing. It's bigger than what you think.
So I was in Mexico City with a girlfriend for New Year's.
Yes, let's talk about it.
And well, I'm trying to get you guys to go to Mexico City. But besides that, the girlfriend I went with also moved to LA from Washington. And we were talking about the bumps and bruises that happens when you're a woman alone in a new city.
Ooh, yes.
Did you feel that when you moved to New York? Like, I definitely, I'm grateful for all of them, but I carry some scars of things.
You know, it's interesting. New York for me, when I think about it, I think of Detroit is where I was born and raised. New York is where I think I grew up, and LA is where I became a woman. Like, it's like these different tiers of life. Like Detroit will always be home, and it's always where my childhood and I was raised. But New York is really where I feel like I grew up. Like I was able to kind of just say, all right, I can own a little bit more of my independence, you know, my trajectory, what I loved, like all these things. And so New York was that for me. So yes, were there bumps and bruises? Sure. But I also think it was because I was growing up.
Yeah.
You know, like I also was figuring it out.
You're right.
There were parts
of it.
It was parts of that where I was like the nicks and the no's and the no, you're not good enough for this, or no, you're not right for this, and absolutely not. And who are you? No, you know, was a natural part of me getting my feet too, like figuring out how to stand up on my own and not be under the protection of your family.
So you're in New York, you're modeling, you meet your husband.
Yes.
And you guys have kids pretty young.
Yeah, we had kids pretty young, but we did the whole New York thing and we got married. And then I was still acting and modeling. We were still traveling quite a bit. And then we decided to make the move to LA because I had come out here for an acting job and I had done some things, and we were like, I think we just need to be in LA. And so we came out here for work to LA, and then we got pregnant.
Planned?
It was planned. I was terrified, but it was planned. I was terrified.
I listened to a few other podcasts you did. And in
of
them, I mean, you're so fun. But in one of them, you were saying that you actually, at one point, thought you may never even have kids.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it was just like, it wasn't on my radar. Like, I wasn't the type of woman, I'd had friends who were like, yes, I want to get married, I want to have kids, I can't wait to have babies, like, that's my thing. Even my mom, she used to tell me all the time, she was like, the biggest thing I want to do is just have kids. Like, I wanted to have kids. I want to be a working woman, but I wanted to have kids. And for me, that wasn't my thought. Like, I wasn't in life thinking, okay, I'm going to work and then I want to have kids. I'm like, I can't wait to have kids. It just that wasn't me. I was just like, I'm going to work. I'm going to figure this out. I want to do this. And I just had ambition, right? And then I met my husband, and I knew that what we had and the value system that we shared, I wanted to recreate. And him and I, very early on in our relationship, we were like, yo, we understand that we're both in like very creative jobs, you know, nothing stable, like we're entertainment industry, but we have to commit to each other that we'll never let that come before our family or starting a family. And I was like, I can make that commitment. And he was like, okay, I can make that commitment too. And then when we moved to LA, we were like, all right, I think it's time. Like, I think we just jump into it. We've always been good at just jumping into things. Like, don't think too hard about it. Don't think too much about it. We're gonna think ourselves out of it. Let's just jump into it. Let's just do it.
And then you figure it out.
And we figured it out. That's
My mom always is like, just pick someone and go. Yeah. Stop thinking so much. Like, it'll be fine.
I mean, a little more than that, but yeah. A little bit more than that.
But I get what you're saying. Like, sometimes I heard this quote, overthinking is underfeeling.
Yeah.
And I was like, there is a bit of that. Like, when you're out of your heart, you're in your head.
Yeah, I think so. I think that I've never heard that quote, but I think that's exactly what it is. Overthinking is underfeeling. Yeah. I think it's something about that. I think you just almost outsmart yourself. Yeah. Because you know what it is? It's like this. When you're young, the reason why it's so exciting is because you have no idea how bad you can fuck up. Yeah. You don't even know how bad you could really fuck up. You could fuck up so bad that you fuck your whole shit up. But you don't even think about it because you're so young, you feel like you got that bounce back.
It's
right. Like a kid, it's like a toddler, right? Like my son, he jumps off couches.
So interesting.
He'll like fly through the air. And I'm like, dude, you could break a leg. You could bounce on your head. Your neck could be severed in four. Like, I don't even know. There's so many things that could go wrong with this.
Right.
But all he sees is the fun of the possibility of what if it goes right? What if it goes right? Now I'm soaring through the air and I'm excited, right? It's that. It's like when you're young, you have that. You don't see how bad it could be because all you see is the possibility of how fun it can be. And so you focus in on that. As we get older, we like, shit, I could lose this. I could lose that. Like, I got
You're so right.
It's just
Did you ever see Sliding Doors?
Yes.
So I think
where they kept missing,
yeah, it's like the old Gwyneth Paltrow movie, and it's like her whole life would have been different if she
Yeah.
missed the subway. Or
That's right. Right.
what is it called in London?
The tram? No. The
tube,
tube.
yes.
The tube. Yeah.
The tube. I think I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, is there a way to mess up your destiny? What do you think about that?
Well, listen, I mean, I'm a very big believer in God's plan, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think we all have choices, but I don't think there's a way to mess up your destiny. I think you just have to continue to follow the light. Like, follow where your heart is leading you and follow the light at all times. Now, when you start following the darkness, that's when you got some issues that you might want to take a second look at. But, I think as long as you follow the light, you can't mess up your destiny. You are where you're meant to be in every moment of life. Right now, we are meant to be right here talking to each other, having this conversation. 2 weeks ago, we were meant to be at dinner, having a conversation and enjoying each other's company, right? And like getting to know each other. You are where you're meant to be. And I think those choices will lead us to the next step.
I actually think that imagery of your son jumping was the reason for me that you were meant to be here. I need to start thinking about that, like the possibility of the fun.
The possibility is the fun.
It's such beautiful imagery, like of a child.
It is. If we can keep that, then I feel like we have a chance of actually being happy.
I think so too. Ooh, a chance of being happy.
Isn't that what it's all about, though?
Yeah.
We just want the chance to be happy.
Were you a preacher's kid?
No, I'm just saying.
Good.
I just am saying like how I think of it. And I think, you know what it is? I think it's hard to make the choice. Happiness is a choice. And Issa, my husband, used to always tell me, he's like, before my mom passed, and this is why I'm trying to make the choice to get back to that. But before my mom passed, he used to always say, Lizzy, you wake up happy. Like, you wake up happy. Whatever happens during the day, that happens. You could change your mood, whatever, but you always wake up happy. And I lost a little bit of that. So I think it's me also reminding myself I have to make the choice to be happy. Just make the choice to wake up happy. And if we can choose that and find little things throughout the days, the weeks, the moments to make ourselves happy, then isn't that what we're really doing this for?
Yeah.
We just want to be happy, whether that's financial happiness, whether that's love and relationship, whether that's friendships, whether that's career, kids, whatever it is. We just really are searching, all of us, just for happiness.
When did your mom pass?
2 years ago. And it feels like yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, it feels like yesterday.
When you say it feels like yesterday, like the grief of it?
Yeah, the grief and the devastation of not being able to pick up the phone, not being able to call. There's so many moments, especially like when my husband's like on the phone with his mom, when there's so many moments where like the kids will do something and I'll be like, I can't. Like, okay, well, I hope you're seeing it. I hope you just saw that. And like I talked to her in a different way. But it's, it's different. It feels like yesterday.
Where do you feel like you are with your grief?
I feel like I'm in a place of acceptance. Like, I understand that it's happened, and I understand, like, on a logical level that there's certain things that have changed. I think on a spiritual level, emotional level, my heart is still very broken, and I don't know if that'll ever change. I think that through time, I'll get more used to the new world without her, but I don't think it'll ever mend itself.
Did you feel supported when she passed by people?
I did feel supported. However, I did not welcome the support. I don't know. I think people handle tragedy or heartbreak differently. And for me, I really needed to cocoon up. I wanted to go into my own hole. I wanted to cocoon up. Like, I needed to put a shield around me and everything else in the world so I could figure out what this new path or life without her was going to be. And I think some people handle it differently. I think some people welcome the help and they want to talk about it and they want to be around people and they feed off that energy. For me, it wasn't like that. I'm so energetic and I love being around people so much. When that happened, I went totally opposite. I went inward.
Did it change the way you thought about work or motherhood or?
Listen, I always say there's two things now in my life that I realize change you. It's giving life. So when your child is born or birth, right? Bringing life into this world changed me. Becoming a mother changed me. And losing my mother changed me. death changed me. And I think those two things changed people. So I had learned when I gave life, when I became a mother, that the way I viewed my time, my career, all that was different. When the only person who I felt like loved me unconditionally left the earth and death happened, I felt like there were no more excuses. Time really does matter, right? Like time. So yes, time as a mother matters because now my time is important. I need to do this, and that, and multitasking. And no, I'm good with that. Yes, I'll do that. You know, you become a lot more focused in that way. Now it's like the time that you have on this earth. That, so time became different for me. Like how I saw. First, it was like multitasking time, right? Like becoming a mother, now it's multitasking time. My time is intentional in what I'm doing and all that stuff. Now it's like cherish the moments because you only have a finite time on this earth, whether it's 80 years, whether it's 60 years, whether it's however many years, it's finite and it goes by in a blink and we won't even realize it. And before you know it, it's done. That's what time did for me.
I understand that.
Yeah.
You said that your mom gave herself totally to motherhood.
Yeah, she did.
And self-care was non-existent. I know my friends who are new moms, that's like one of the biggest things that they talk about.
Yeah.
What was your experience like when you became a mom?
You know, it's interesting. I had miscarried the first time. And when I finally had my healthy, beautiful baby girl, I went all into motherhood. I lost every part of myself. I just focused entirely on her. And I think that I was almost consumed with this new life and making sure that it was alive and thriving. And, you know, I was doing all the things I was supposed to do just to keep her, you know, happy. And I lost a lot of like who I was in that process. And I think that's a hard thing. And I think most new mothers go through that journey of what it's like to be able to almost split yourself into two, because so much of you wants to nurture this being and be with this being, but then a lot of you also just instinctively remembers who you are, like who you were and what life was before they were there. And so the marriage of the two, right, is a really big moment for women and mothers, and how you now coexist as one is a journey.
Well, your podcast is called The Cool Mom Podcast.
Yay.
So you got your cool back.
There you go. Yeah.
If you felt like you lost it, you got it back.
I think that was a way of me like forcing my cool to come back. Like,
really?
You know, yeah. I think it was, I've never thought of myself as like cool. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, I kid you not.
Tyra Banks thought you were cool.
No, Tyra Banks thought I was this nice little girl. And I was like, okay, thank you. Okay. But no, I never thought of myself as cool. I think I just, you know what it is? I never thought of myself as cool. And when I came up with the Cool Mom Co., it wasn't me saying like, hey, this is how you have to be cool. It was more so me saying, hey, cool, like let's use that as a way to just be cool in your own skin, comfortable in your own skin, and whatever that is for you. Like it could be whatever your version of that is, but like let's identify it as that.
I like that it's Cool Mom Co. because to me it signals like we're in community. It's not just like me.
That's right. Yeah.
I love that. So you said the Cool Mom Co. is bigger than just a mom blog or even a mom brand. You call it an all-inclusive, diversity-driven hangout destination for moms. And I've heard you talk about this a lot on other podcasts, that the diversity element to being a mom is not discussed enough.
Right.
Can you explain your motivation behind that for the brand?
During my pregnancy, once I became a mom, I didn't see anything really out there. There was nothing out there that was celebrating, one, obviously, the diversity of motherhood. There was nothing out there celebrating Black women as mothers, or really any multicultural families as mothers. There was no one out there doing that. It was mostly just one type of mom that were woman, and it was like, hey, this is how we all are, and this is what you should be buying, and this is what you should be wearing, and this is what you should be doing, and this is what, and there was nothing. And for me, I was just like, man, what is this? Like, I don't see myself in any of this. And so it started off really initially as me just kind of sharing my journey as mother and like motherhood and just being a mom, a working mom and career and like whatever. And then I was like, wait a minute. I get so much from other women and I'm so inspired by other women and so many other women say this, and they look like amazing and cool in their own right. Let's start highlighting like us as a community, us as just a cool mom company that just, listen, we're all in this together. And it has to be diversity driven. You have to be able to see yourself in this platform at all times, not just one vision of what that is, not one vision of what motherhood is. And that was important to me. Also, being in LA and obviously coming from New York, being raised in Detroit, I've always been around so many types of different ethnicities.
Yeah.
And I've never been around just one type of person. So that was important to me too.
You have a lot of titles: actress, international model,
Oh, wow.
mom, wife, business owner, home renovator.
Yeah.
What's left that you're still clawing for?
The sky's the limit.
It is. I mean, you're good at that. You really are an expansive thinker.
You know what it is? I heard something that Oprah said the other day, and she was like, I did not know how big I could become. I just followed the light. Like it was almost, she almost was saying it as if, this is how I interpreted it. She almost said it as if her thought process could not even become as big as what God had intended for her. She would have never even thought this wide and this large and this like high, because this was something that was like beyond her even scope, right, of imagination. And I think for me, it really touched me because I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna follow the light. Just keep following the light, because I don't know where the world is gonna take me. All the things that I wanna do, I know that I haven't accomplished everything yet, and that I have so much more to give, and I'm excited, and I love what I do more than ever. And so I just wanna follow the light.
I think that is really good advice. Gabby Bernstein was on Pretty Smart, and she said she always says this or something better.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your dreams aren't even big enough for you.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Do you think that I have to like kids to have kids?
No.
Really?
Biggest misconception.
Okay.
Because it was like for me,
I'm half joking.
No, you're not.
I am. I like kids.
No,
I
but
like
this
kids.
is the funny part about it though, because I remember when when I didn't have kids, I wasn't always the one who was like super great around kids. Like I love kids and I'm like very like excited to like spend time and like play. Like I wasn't like standoffish by any means. So I always loved children, but I was always nervous around them. When I finally had my own, girl, bye. I was like, we're in this. Like, this is like, I can't stop touching them. I can't stop talking to them. I can't stop like being around them and hanging out with them. It'll be different when you have your own children.
Is there one thing that you really want your kids to remember about you, the way at the beginning of this conversation you told me about your mom?
Yeah, I mean, if my kids just walk away knowing that they are always, will always, have always been loved, then they'll never search for that in the wrong places. And that's my biggest thing. I want you to always know that love comes from within you, and love is what you know what love feels like. You know what the right kind of love feels like, so you never search for the wrong type of love.
Maybe you should preach. Just saying.
I mean, that's what it's about.
Okay.
Girl.
Rapid fire. Ready?
The
The best thing about being a mom.
Seeing yourself in little people and like seeing life in their eyes, like the world through their eyes.
What's been the most challenging thing about being a mom?
The juggle. It's very challenging knowing that there's times because of like work or other commitments that you can't make it to every single thing. And so that's heartbreaking when you can't make it to a play or like a basketball game and they have a great game or, you know, little things at school. It's the juggle. That's hard.
What is your favorite episode of your podcast? You know what? I'm not going to say favorite.
Thank you.
Because that's not nice.
That's not nice.
That's not nice. And I'm also trying not to say favorite anymore. Okay.
Why? Why are you trying not to say favorite anymore?
Honest.
Yeah.
I started guesting on other people's podcasts. And because I have interviewed people for 10 years, the most common question I get is, who is your favorite interview of all time? And I was thinking to myself, like, that is such a non-descriptive word. Like, what, because if you ask me what's the most memorable interview, I can tell you. What was the most shocking interview, I could tell you. But favorite, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah, okay, I can understand that. Well,
I
where
don't
you
know.
had the best experience. That's what I would think a favorite, but...
Oh, that's a nice interpretation.
But I like what you're saying. It also gives the viewer a little bit more detail into like what it is about that interview that struck you for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As I was sitting here with you, I was listening. You're so thoughtful about your words. Like I can really tell. And it's like from a non-judgmental place too.
Yeah.
And I think the word favorite is just nondescript.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Okay, so in that vein, switching gears, what is, if people haven't listened to the pod yet, what's an episode that you would send them to?
Oh, that's a good one. If people haven't listened to yours, of course, because it's so like off the radar of what the podcast is. Danielle comes on the podcast, guys. Cool mom code, even though she's not a mom.
I'm a wannabe mom.
But we had such a great conversation about like all the things and things going into motherhood and like fears and, you know, it was like egg freezing, fertility, all those things. So that was actually a great conversation.
Well, just to add on to what you were saying, I have a lot of fears about motherhood and I think some like limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And I have certain friends, and you do this for me, you make motherhood look really enticing and really beautiful. I know it's not perfect.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope not. I hope we're not doing that.
No,
I hope we're
I
not
know.
doing that.
It's not unrealistic, but you make it look like it could be really fun.
You know what it is? It's like you've told me before, like Barbara Walters is like your person, right?
Yeah.
Or even Larry King, but Barbara Walters because she's a woman. It's almost like Barbara Walters makes it look so easy. Even what you're doing, it looks so easy for you. But it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of hard work and sacrifice and determination. And it's the same thing with motherhood. You can look at me, you can look at some of your friends and they're gonna make it look easy because they do enjoy it. We love it. We love our children. We love being mothers. But understand that it does take work. It takes hard work and it takes sleepless nights and tears sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. Just like you sitting right here, right now, interviewing me, it's worth it. You're this much step closer to Barbara Walters. I mean, and that's what it's about, right? It's just like the end goal is so like, it's so fun. And that's what, as a mother, it's so fun. There's so many fun moments. But the in between is, oh, you feeling it. It's there. It's
Feel
there.
it.
Yeah. I will say this. I've had a few really great podcasts that I really, really, really get excited about. And all of them bring something different.
For sure.
Which is so fun. And that's why I love doing it. And I love talking to people and having these honest conversations. I think that there's a few that stand out. Tia's was dope to me, Tia Moore, because I feel like she was just so real, so honest. She gave it to me. We talked like we had been friends forever. And she really opened up about stuff. And I appreciated that. Jessica Alba was great because her and I are really good friends. So I could read through any BS and like we kind of like had a random ass podcast and it's just funny. It's just like she was eating on it and I was like, really, you doing this on my podcast? And she was my first one. So I was like, that was a mistake. You were the mistake coming on as my first one because you just wilding out on my podcast.
You can't eat on someone's podcast.
She was like, I'm gonna make it ASMR. And I was like, man, get out of here. So that was fun. Then I think that the one that of recent, Maria Menounos, because her story is so inspiring in the way that she was able to just kind of tell her story in such a positive way, but still strong and inspiring, and like also her strength. I mean, and she also gave tips. She's really big on wellness, and her podcast is all about wellness. So the way that she was able to lay out tips on how to live a more well life was interesting. So I think those are like my top three.
Those are great episodes. I've listened to all of those.
Really?
Yeah. A book that changed your life, something you think everybody should read.
The Alchemist.
Just read that for the first time.
Really?
I finally read it after like a million years.
Yes, that's a good one. I feel like everyone should read that.
I agree. Actually, when I interviewed Sweetie, people don't know she was living in her car for years.
Wow.
And she was like really, people feel like she popped off and she didn't. She worked really hard and she was in a tough spot. And she said she read The Alchemist like 4 times in a year when she was in that car. And she was like, I'm going to make it.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to hand these to you.
Uh-oh.
All right, pick a card, any card.
Whoop, whoop. Okay, I have the question everything card. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
When was the last time you felt rejected? I mean, I know people are gonna think I'm crazy, but I don't know. I don't really feel rejected. I don't know. I don't want it to be like I'm like not human, because I am human. But listen, rejection is a feeling that I feel like comes when you actually care what other people think. It's the only time you can feel rejected, right?
You're right.
Rejection is a feeling that comes when you actually give a fuck. And I think that through motherhood and life and death, remember what the things I told you, you stop giving a fuck of what other people think. And I think that is okay. That is owning me as a woman, right? Like, so how can I feel rejected? I don't know. That's just my take on it. I feel like
think that's
I can
really
feel
dope.
sad at times. I can feel like, oh, I'm like people not giving me the response that I want. But rejection, feeling like rejected, that's a very strong feeling. And that is a feeling of choice. And I can't I can't make that choice to give anyone else that power to make me feel rejected in this phase of life.
I swear you are a PK. I don't understand how
PK, I had to think about that one. That's preacher's kid. I had to
you
think about that
are.
one. No,
You really
I don't
have
know.
words to share.
I'm just saying, don't you feel that way?
Well, I think I sometimes feel dejected.
Okay.
And then I get over it pretty quickly because I think in our industry, it's like you get a lot of no's, so
Yeah.
you can't simmer in it.
Yeah, you can't.
But I care sometimes still, and
It's okay to care.
but you really don't give a fuck.
I mean,
You're not just one of those people who sits there and is like, I don't get, you
No.
really don't care.
Because you know why? I've had no so many times. Oh my God, I've had no so many times. I mean, dude, like I was raised with a single mom. Like I just feel like, I don't know, if we care so much what other people think, we're losing so much time that we have just to feel good about ourselves. I just feel like we don't have the time for it. And especially not now. Time is my thing, remember? Time is my thing. I don't have time for it anymore. So am I gonna be hurt? Sure. Do I feel sad? Sure. I'm emotional, I have feelings, but can I care or feel rejected? Nah, boo. Because you know what? At the heart of it, I have everything I need. I have a husband who loves me and supports me. I have brothers and a family who loves me. And I have children who adore me. And I live in my own skin where I feel like I walk in this earth where I feel proud of like my decisions and what I do every day. I feel proud when I wake up and like the actions and how I treat people in this world. I feel proud of me. So I don't have time to feel rejected from anybody else because that's an opinion that you're putting on me. And your opinions cannot matter to me if they are not positive, if they are not walking in my light, or if you're not headed in the same journey I am. I just can't. I don't have time for it anymore because you're stifling me. And if you're stifling me, then you're not with me. And if you're not with me, then what are we doing here? What are we doing? You're wasting my time, and time is all I have.
Time is all I have. Well, with that, my last question.
Okay.
What's the smartest decision you've ever made?
Getting married and having kids. Smartest decision, because for me and the type of person I am, it gave me a support system that I get to live with every day. I get to wake up to it. I get to live with it. I get to go to bed with it. And for me, that's what I need to like be my happiest self. Everything else may fall from the wayside. Friendships may come and go. You know, career opportunities may come and go. But for me, marriage, children, I get to wake up and walk with that and our values and what we carry out into the world every single day. And that's important for me. It's the best decision I've ever made.
That's really beautiful, Lizzy.